Well, back in the day, I loved the book series about Percy Jackson, the story of the lightning thief. And now Rick Riordan has joined with an illustrator to bring the story to life. I spoke to both of them about the new version of the book and why Percy Jackson was even created.
Well, I've always loved Greek mythology, and as a former classroom teacher, I knew that it was a high-interest subject matter for kids. But really, the idea came from my own son. When he was about 8 years old, he was struggling in school. He was diagnosed with dyslexia and ADHD. And so I started telling him bedtime stories to try to keep him interested in school and what they were reading. And I made up Percy Jackson, who finds out that he's a demigod. His dad is a Greek god, and like my son, Percy is ADHD and dyslexic. So it was a way of helping my own son kind of connect to who he was and what he was struggling with and keep him interested in the stories.
Well, you have made mythology so cool for so many people. You have literally opened up the doors so that people can learn these wonderful tales that have been told since thousands of years. Why the illustrated version of your book?
Well, John has done the covers for the book since the very first Lightning Thief, and he does such a fantastic job taking the story and distilling it into really a single image that we wanted to kind of try to do that same sort of treatment for the entire narrative. And what he's created is this beautiful, huge, full-color experience that really the kids that grew up with this book can now share with younger readers who might just be discovering it and kind of make it a family reading time. That's our hope anyway, and what he's come up with is just phenomenal.
John, your pictures are just so beautiful. How do you capture just the picture from the words? Like, I mean, it's beautiful. I can't say that enough.
Thank you. Well, you know, I think all the readers get these visions in their head of what they're reading when they read Rick's books, and I do too, like them. And for me, it's been such a delight because as a young kid, I used to read the Scribner's Classics, which were illustrated books, illustrated by greats like N.C. Wyeth and Maxfield Parrish and Howard Pyle, and they were the stories, the classic stories, you know, of Treasure Island and The Last of the Mohicans. And so for me, taking this, what has become a classic story, and go back to it and create my vision of that world was an absolute thrill. And it was, I'm not going to say easy, but it was a total joy.
Well, it's a joy to thumb through the pages of Percy Jackson. Rick, real quick, what's in store for you next? What's new?
Well, I'm working on the last two books in the Trials of Apollo series, which is set in Percy Jackson's world. It's a follow-up to that. And happy to say that John, as he's done before, is going to be doing the cover art for the next two books. And I'm sure they're going to be fantastic. So the next one comes out September of 19.
Is there other movies? I have to ask real quick. Those movies are great, too. I mean, the books are amazing, but the movies are great, too.
I don't know. If that ever happens, I'll be as surprised as you are, because I don't really know anything about that. So we'll just have to wait and see.